Okay, I got my front running lights and my front headlights hooked up. I got my marker lights. These are marker lights also on the front, and my headlights. Tail light. Running marker lights. Right now I found out that these lights are the ones that you turn off and on, and they go low, high beam, and flash. So these do flash. I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how I'm going to wire up the blinkers because and the brake light. I got a brake light switch, and when I hooked it up, I blew a fuse right here. So I had to put a 20 amp fuse in it. It's only supposed to be a 7.5 fuse. What I might have to end up doing is running two separate switches, such as this, to run the blinkers. You know, blinker on, blinker off, or off, blinker on, blinker off, blinker on, blinker off, which will hook right up on here. I do have a motorcycle one on order, so as soon as I get it, we'll find out. These here are blinker relays. They're for these lights here, and if I can figure out how to wire this in, then I'll have blinkers on my marker lights as well. So, you know, I'm not a wiring genius, but I'm trying to figure it out. So I'm gonna let these run. My main thing is I put these on high beam, the lights on high beam. Here, let me show you. I'm just gonna plug it real quick and plug it back in. It should start flashing. So if I theoretically, if I turned it off and turned it back on, they'll flash. And after flash, turn it on, back on. That's low beam, and that should be high beam, or maybe that's low beam. I'm not sure. Flash, off, high beam, low beam. I think that's low beam. It's 12:30. So 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. So at 3:30 I'll come out, because I need to get at least 3.5 hours. So 3:34, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll come back out and see if the batteries run down, or what I want to make sure of is that this battery is going to handle this load. I'll be skunked. I thought I bought the cheaper ones. They have two different types of these headlights. Ones that you just turn them on and they just come on. They don't flash. They don't have a high or low beam. So this is good news. That has high low beam, because the motorcycle switch I'm getting has high low beam. So when I flip it from one to the other, it should go high to low, and when I flip it back down to low, it should start flashing. So it's gonna be kind of cool. I'm hoping that's the situation, and I'm hoping that the blinker on that, you know, it's one of those little motorcycle things that are on the handlebar for the blinker. You have to have one of these relay blinkers in order for, this is for a motorcycle, and there's a line called B and a line called L, and I think B is for blinker and L's for light. So I'm hoping that when I turn on my lights, I'll still have just the running light, but when you put on the blinker side, this whole thing starts blinking like a blinker. This one, and this one, and this one. Now I have I got some bigger ones. These are a little bit bigger strips. These are a little bit longer strips. But they only come in amber. I couldn't get them in red. Or I couldn't find any in red. There probably is. If I looked hard enough, I'd probably find them in red. But I just don't want to put too much load on the bike, and these are bright enough. I think it'll be fine. Because when I get that bar welded down here, I'm going to put a plate across here to put the blinkers on and the running lights. So, or the side markers and the tail light. Now this tail light blinks kind of weird. It travels this way to go make a, well, that would be a right hand turn, and then it travels this way for a left hand turn. It doesn't have amber on the sides, where these will flash, because these will be mounted on left and right, so those would flash, at least I'm hoping. So this is a real pain in the butt trying to figure out the wiring. That's why I'm trying to do it on a bench. But first I want to find out is make sure that the battery's going to handle the load. So I checked the battery before I started this, and it had a full charge. So we'll see what we get. And by the way, just to let you know, these lithium batteries are very expensive. That's 200 bucks right there. Now you can get, this is a 12 cell. I believe they have a 16 cell, but then that jumps up quite a bit of money. The lithium batteries, like the deep cycle ones, the lithium deep cycles for cars, oh my god, they want $1,000 for a battery. I couldn't find any deep cell car batteries, you know, that are lithium, which are a little bit bigger than this. They want $1,000. I ain't paying no $1,000 for a battery. So, you know, I don't mind spending a couple hundred, but I ain't spending no $1,000 for a freaking battery. Okay, we've got past the first hour. It is 1:44, so I went ahead and put the lights on high beam. I'm going to let them cook on high beam for another 15 minutes. You know, kind of duplicate actual riding. Yeah, before I go through all the trouble trying to figure out the blinkers and getting all the wiring schematics figured out, I don't want to be wasting my time when these lights won't work. So I got to make sure that they're going to work for me. I did get a brake switch for it, and I think I figured out a way I can wire it up. So I got a little, what I've done here is I made up a little bracket for it. I don't know what I did with the original spring, but basically what's going to happen is I'm going to mount it to the frame right about here and hook that spring up to this thing. This thing twisted on me, but I was putting a lot of pressure on it, so I can reset this piece right here to match up with this right here. So that will be my, so every time I pull on it with a brake, it's going to pull the spring and pull the plunger to give it continuity to turn on the brake light. What I'm hoping to get is a brake light and blinkers, and I like the headlights. I thought I bought the cheap ones, but I guess I bought the more expensive ones, because those do flash and they do have high and low beam on the headlights. So I'll if you go to that web page on the last video I did, the one I was showing you was the ones that don't have the high beam. But if you go and look off to the right side down towards the bottom a little bit, you'll see these. They're advertised high, low beam, and flash. I think that's kind of cool because I can use them during the day as well, you know, for the flash. Yeah, these little taillights are pretty bright, and I'm glad I I bought these. Now these are the longer ones for the front. I got longer ones for the front. I was trying to find these in the red, but I couldn't find any. All they had was the amber. They didn't have them in the long ones in the red. So I have some. I have a pair of these in red and also in an amber. So if I don't get the run time I'm looking for, then I'll switch these out to the short ones like this in amber, and then I'll try it again. Okay, what I want to show you here is how I'm going to mount the lights. I have to get a little bit longer screws for the bolts that go through the lights because I have to go a fairly large tube. But right now these are just slipping off. These are quick releases, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to slot these like you would on a seat post. I'm going to slot them so when I put this on, and then take the quick release, let me show you, put it this way, and clamp it. It will sit on there tight. Then my next problem is this, and how I'm going to fix that is I'm going to get some 1-inch aluminum at 1/8 inch thick, such as this, and I'm going to mount it on here, and I'm going to bend them over and tech screw them, so, and mount it through here. This is just an example of, and bend it over, tech screwed up here, put 2 screws in here. Now I can either, it'd probably better go to the inside, that way it's going to stabilize it. So my light will mount right about here, or I might even be able to mount it all the way out on the very end on each side, which I'll probably end up doing because there's plenty of room. Let's check it with one of the brackets. And that's what I do. Of course, we're going to paint them. I'm going to paint them black, more than likely. But, yeah, there's plenty of room. I got plenty of room. We got about, close to a 1/2 inch to 1 inch, 3/4 inch. So that's where they're going to go. They're going to go right on the outside edge, here and here. And with this center light, this operates on a battery. Unfortunately, I can't run it through a switch, but this sucker's bright, and I got this will give me 7 hours of run time on this battery in the back. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'll just show you how bright this sucker is. That's, I believe, high beam, low beam, flash. So if these two flash and that flashing during the day, it's not a problem. Then at nighttime, with these two on and being able to get high beam out of this, I'll be able to see the road real well because it's kind of dark out here in Casa Grande. So that's how I'm going to mount it. I'll leave a description below where I got this thing at, which mounts onto the frame. It's big enough to wrap all the way around. I've had this on here, probably about a couple months after I bought the bike. I put this on. In preparation of, it was actually, this whole concept, what I'm doing right now is the same concept I had when I was in LA. So again, we'll put them on like that, and I can set these, out a little bit too when I clamp them. So all I have to do to these, again, slot it. So what I'll probably do is I'll slot these about 1/8 inch wide all straight across, bend them in a little bit so they fit on there pretty tight, and then with the quick release, it'll make it nice and tight. So that's how we're gonna do it. For the big strip, this is the one that's gonna be the blinker. These will also be blinkers, but the big strip, that's gonna be mounted up here on the top of the seat where it can be seen real well. The two little ones will probably be mounted down here where that bar is going to come in on the bottom on each side. So we have a blinker going, and this thing will be going this way, and then when I'm turning this way, the blinker will be going that way, and this will be flashing on this side. I believe that's how I'm going to be doing it. I finally found the right spring for it. Anyway, so when I pull on that lever, it's going to pull that plunger. It doesn't take too much. You just need to pull it away enough so it gets continuity, and then when you let off the brake, it shuts the continuity off, and so that's how the brake light works. The brake light is only going to work on this big strip right here, because it's the only one that has a brake light hookup for it. Well, it's 3:33, so we're just past the 3-hour mark. So 4 o'clock, we're going to call it good. Then the next thing I want to know is how long it takes to charge a battery, because that way it'll tell me how much I drained out of that battery. I don't want to deplete the battery completely. Okay, we're just a little past the 3.5 hour mark. I'm going to call this good. So I'm going to terminate this test. I'm going to unplug it and let the battery rest for about 30 minutes. And then charge up the battery and see how long it takes to charge up the battery, to see how much consumption I used or how much capacity I have lost out of that battery. And then we'll know whether or not we're going to go to a little bit smaller lights in the front. Okay, it's almost been 30 minutes. What I figure I'd do, I'd take my volt meter. Let's see, I should have some bolts in me. Okay. Okay, 10 volts. So we'll check back at about 5:30 or so, and see if it charged up, and check the volts again. That's something I should have done in the first place. I should have checked the voltage, where it was when it was fully charged, and where it was at after the run test. But it looked like with 9 to 10 volts. Alright, it's been about an hour and 15 minutes, so it's still charging. Well, we're at about the 2-hour mark now. So we're definitely gonna switch out these lights to the smaller ones like these in the front. I got amber ones for the front. Plus the fact they'll look better, because I think what I'm gonna do is, when I put this aluminum piece on to hold the tube up, I'm just gonna mount it straight onto that and drill a hole in it so I can feed the wire through it, and then follow it underneath here on out. I think it'll work out just beautiful. Okay, it's a little past 2.5 hour mark, still charging. I could be wrong about the charge time on this, because you know, if you because a lot of my 6 cells, when they're almost depleted, take about 4 hours from the charge. So this could take up to, being it's a 12 cell, this could take up to 6 hours to charge when it's fully depleted. So let's see what happens. I'll check again at the 3-hour mark, which will be in another half hour. Well, at the 3-hour mark, and it's charged. So between 2.5 and the 3-hour mark, it charged up. So now what I want to do is I want to just check the voltage on it, disconnect it, and check the voltage on it, see what kind of volts this thing has when it's fully charged. Okay, so we're going to check the voltage on this now and see what it reads. I'll try to put that up here where you can see it. And here we go. 11, 12, 11 to 12 volts. Okay, well I finally got my motorcycle switch, and you see it has the blinker for right, left, center's off, horn button, and light switch, high beam, low beam. So the first thing I had to do is, because it comes with this plug and all these wires, are, oh my god, what goes to what? So what I did is I took my voltmeter and I put it on a continuity tester, so when you get a complete circuit it beeps at you. So I went through all these wires and I found out that these two wires here that comes onto the side of the plug is for the horn, because when I put the continuity on it and I pressed the horn switch on this, I got continuity. I was getting the beep, so I know that's for the horn. And then the other side of the plug has 3 wires. The center wire is a common wire, which means it's the hot line that comes up. And when I flip the switch from the left side, I got a beep. And then when I flipped it to the right side, I didn't get no beep. But when I switched it over, so basically what I'm trying to say, these 3 wires are for the blinkers. Okay? And then these 3 wires are for the headlight. Now, the way I'm going to hook up the headlight, I'm just going to hook it up with 2 wires, so that when I flip the switch, the light will come on. There we go. When I flip the switch up, the light will come on. When I flip the switch down, the light will go off. When I flip the switch back up, so that way, because the way these lights are made, it'll go from off, okay, on, flash, high beam, low beam, off. So that's how I'm going to wire that up. So I'm not going to wire up this third wire unless that's for a hot. I might have to wire it up for the hot line. I'm not sure yet. But these 2 wires were definitely working for one side of the switch, but not the other. So that tells me I could probably hook it up like that. So that's how I sorted out the wires. So I kind of know which wires are for what. Now it's just a matter of figuring out how to wire it up. Now for the side markers, for these little guys, I'm going to have to run them through this blinker relay for the blinkers. But on the tail light, this has a chip in it, so when I activate this blinker, I don't need to run it through the relay. The only wires I have to run through the relay are the 4 marker lights. But this has a chip built in it, so as soon as that particular line is activated, it automatically, I just got to make sure I hook it up to the correct side, and it automatically has its own chip in it, so you don't need a blinker relay for it. The brake light also goes on this switch, and I'll have to run a line down for this one as well. So when I go to wire this all up, I'm not going to be running all the ground wires. All the ground wires are going to be grounded to the frame. So what I'll do is all the front lights and running lights will be joined together and grounded to the frame. The battery will be grounded to the frame. All the ground wires for the back will be grouped and grounded to the frame. So that way I don't have to run all these wires up and down the bike for grounds. All I have to do is run the hot wires, which I can group those and run those a lot easier than have to run a whole bunch of wires. That's how they do most cars these days, and motorcycles anyway. They don't run all the ground wires. They group them and they put them in a common ground. So that's how we're going to do this. So plan of attack is I'm just going to take one light, one of these, and this, and we're going to try and wire it up and get it to work. And if I get that to work, then I know how the wiring's going to go for the rest of them, because it's a matter of just grouping the wires. So that's how we're going to do it. Oh yeah, and also hooking up the brake switch. So we're going to hook up the brake switch, one light, one running light, the tail light, so that will, and the brake light, which is going to be hooked up to this one, and left and right turn signal on this one, and just one turn signal on this one. So that's my plan of attack. Now I have to come up with a power switch, because the power switch is basically going to turn on the power for the system. So I have two choices. I have a toggle switch, or I can use just a bar switch. Now this toggle switch has a light on it, so when it's on, you know it's on because it lights up. It's 12 volts. And this doesn't have a light on it. It's just a regular kill switch. Either it's on or it's off. So we have to wire up a switch to it. And once you wire up a switch to it, then I think I'm going to use like a little terminal block to run all the wires to all these guys, to make it simple. So that's where I'm at. And we'll probably do this, start working on this right after Christmas. And by the way, just to let you know, I put the voltmeter on this thing, and the volts came up quite a bit. It came up because I was just barely getting 12 volts. Now I'm getting close to 12.6 volts on it now. So the battery levels come up quite a bit. So that's good news. So this battery probably takes about 6 hours to fully charge it, and it took me almost 3 hours, so that tells me I used up about half of the capacity, which is good news. Plus, I'm going to be running these smaller lights in the front now, so that should help quite a bit. So I don't know if, when I hook this up, if these lights are going to stay on, or if they just blink when I put on the blinker. That'd be fine too. I would prefer that they only come on when I use the blinkers. That way I won't put so much load on the battery. But it'd be kind of cool to have those running lights. I could probably deal with it. I mean, if it has either or, it doesn't really matter. I like to have the running lights on it, make it look kind of cool. But their main purpose is for blinkers. So if they only work that way, that's fine with me. I don't have a problem with that. Now some of you are probably wondering, well, heck, you got a 48 volt battery, why not just run your 12 volt system off the battery? I thought about that. They do make a step down from 48, a voltage regulator you can buy. They make them for golf carts. Steps it down from a 48 volt to a 12 volt. But I didn't want to start stealing volts from my electric motor system to run my lighting system, because that will lessen my distance on my my distance on the bike. So I'd rather just run a separate battery system. That's the way I would like to do it. But you certainly could run a 12 volt system off the 48 volt battery with a step down regulator. But I decided against that, only because like I said, I want to be able to get the distance from the battery. So if I'm only getting like 20 miles distance from this battery, I might be cutting it down to 10 or 15 miles. And I prefer not to do that. Well, I decided I'm going to wait till after the first year to take these tires down, because we spent a lot of money on Christmas. And I finally finished the front yard. The backyard's done. We're still working on the inside of the house a little bit, get it ready for Christmas for the kids. So I decided to wait till after the first year and take these, start tearing it down, and first thing I want to do is to take tires and the rims down to the bike shop for the rim swap. Well, there is something I like to share with you, and it really doesn't have much to do with the Quadra Sprint, but it does have something to do with my other pet peeve, which is my Rad Rover. I did a video oh, I don't know, about 6 months ago. It's had like 14,000 hits on it. Anyway, it was a video on aftermarket accessories for the Rad Rover. And this person left a comment on it saying, oh, you got too much crap on that bike, and you know, you should buy American made products rather than stuff from China to support our economy, and you'd be better off driving a car with air conditioning and heating rather than loading up that bike. You might as well put a TV on it too. So I responded to him and I said, first of all, good luck trying to find anything like the products that I'm reviewing that are made in the United States. 99.9% everything these days are made in China. So don't blame me for bad trade agreements. It's not my fault. Number two, why would I put a TV on my bike when it weighs 3 times heavier than my smartphone? My smartphone works just as good as a TV. Number three, I drive a car. At the time I was driving my Dodge Challenger RT, and I told him, I said, what do you think that was made at? That was made in Mexico. So don't, again, not my fault. And I end it by saying, if you have any information of any of these products that I shared on this video that are made in America, please share. I'd be more than happy to repurchase those and review those products. And then I said, I certainly hope that you will subscribe to my channel, because I need people who criticize like you. You know, some people just absolutely amaze me, you know. I don't get it, you know. They have nothing better to do than to go around on the internet and criticize people for things that you have no control of. You know, I admit I have a lot of things on my bike, but it fits me and my environment, stuff that I like, and most everybody that views it feels the same way. There's a few that said that I had too much stuff on there, and I kind of agree with it. And since then, I've thinned it out quite a bit. And I improved some of the products, because some of the products were falsely advertised. But I was kind of naive at the time, you know. I know better now what to look for on Amazon. You know, look at the reviews and also look at the questions and answers before you buy anything. That's what I found. Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you because I thought it was kind of ironic, kind of funny. Okay, I thought I'd just give you a little shot of the Rad Rover. I did thin it out quite a bit because I had a lot of bags on it and stuff that I didn't really need. So I stripped it all out, and I thought, okay, I'm only doing things that I really feel are necessary. The light's important, a good light. Battery, it's important for the light. A phone holder, because my wife freaks out when she can't get in touch with me. And I don't hear the phone, so I need a speaker, Bluetooth speaker for it. That's important. A good air horn to keep me safe in traffic. That's important. Mirrors to keep me safe in traffic. That's important. Comfort for my buttocks. To me, that's important. Tail lights are important. Side reflections important. A water bottle cage is important. A toolkit bag that holds my lock and my tools, that's important to have. So I don't get it. But in any event, I thinned it out quite a bit and I put good products on it. So if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell, because next year we got a lot of stuff coming up for the quadricycle, and you don't want to miss any of that stuff. It's going to be challenging, and it's also going to be fun. And thanks for watching. I appreciate all my subscribers and non-subscribers that watch my channel. Until next time, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I hope everybody has a prosperous new year. And most importantly, you all be safe out there.